Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pooja. I'm an integrative nutritionist and I work with women who have hormonal issues. In this video today, we're going to be talking about the fat consumption, the phobia around it, and why we feel that fat is a bad thing and we should avoid it as much as possible, and what has happened in the last 30 to 40 years because of which we have reached this stage. And I will also tell you in this video about good quality oils and bad quality oils, and what is the reason why some oils that we are using are very bad for you, and there are some very good quality fats that you can easily increase in your diet without any problem, without any fear. The first thing that I would like to talk about over here is how did we as a nation become someone who have been using refined oil a lot and have moved from our traditional sort of oils that we were using pretty okay, which were ghee, butter, the white butter that we would actually as a ritual in our houses would be extracted from the cream. It was just a ritual that everybody followed. And then what happened was in around 1970s, there came a lot of literature out from the Western world, which actually gave a lot of studies out saying that saturated fats are really bad for you. Saturated fats are the fats which actually solidify at room temperature, which is basically butter, ghee, coconut oil. And they said this is really bad for you. It can cause cardiac issues, you can have heart attack, you can have high cholesterol, and all these problems will happen. So please avoid any kind of saturated fats in your diet. The studies trickled down, and it took some time, 10 to 20 years, and in 1970s, 80s, it became like a norm then that you would want to avoid saturated fats, and the whole industry of how they were consuming oil actually shifted to vegetable oils. And it sounds really healthy. If you say, oh, I'm consuming vegetable oil, you think it must be really healthy, but it is not, and I'll explain you exactly why it is not good for you. When we are looking at fats, where do we derive these oils from? So my common sense would say that you would extract oil from something which is oily. So which basically, for example, if you take dry coconut in your hand and you hold it for some time, your hands will become greasy, which actually tell you that it's a very greasy sort of a dry coconut. It has some natural oils in it which actually makes your palm go oily. So common sense would be that, okay, I'm going to extract oil from this because it looks like it is rich in oil. If you were to make ghee, you would make it out of malai, which is very creamy, which is very oily. You would also extract oil from dry coconut because it is full of natural oils. So you would extract. You actually can just press these things and you can easily extract oil from these, whether it's almond, whether it's a walnut, or whether it's coconut, or whether it's olives. They are actually, just once you start squeezing them, oil can start dripping out of these. So that's how full of oil they are, and that is how simply we used to extract oil from oily products. But then in the West, there was this major study that was done in which they said, oh, saturated fats are really bad for you. So now even over there, when they were consuming chips or any snacks which they have to preserve for a longer period of time, they would actually fry it in saturated oil like animal lard, or they would use more animal lard, so basically animal fat, and they would deep fry your snacks or chips in this so that it has a longer shelf life. Now when the study started coming out that saturated fat is very bad for you, their sales started going down. So now they had to find an alternative for this. So what do we fry these snacks in so that we can have an increased shelf life? So they switched to something called as vegetable oil. What are vegetable oils? Vegetable oils are basically your seed oils, like canola oil, which is actually is extracted from rapeseed. It's a seed. It also vegetable oil oil also will be something like corn oil, so which is basically oil extracted from corn. But to my common sense, if I see that if you press corn, there is no oil going to come out of it, because there is no oil in it. Even if you hold some of the corns in your hand for a very long time, your palm is not going to go greasy, because they don't have any oil in them. So if you were to extract some oil from corn oils, how would you do that? Basically, lots and lots of corns, tons and tons of corns were chemically processed to take out oil from them. So what did they do? They actually try to extract these vegetable oils, and obviously it's not going to be an easy process, because they don't have that much oil in them. So how do we extract the oil from them? I have here something which I can share with you, which is going to tell you what are the processes a vegetable oil goes through before it actually produces the oil that we use in our daily lives these days. So the seeds are pressed, and then there is a solvent extraction which gets done. After that, the solvent gets removed. Then after that, they go through refining, then they go through degumming, then they go through bleaching, then they go to deodorization. So all this kind of process they go through to produce the oil for you that we consume. So by the time this process they go through these 8 processes, the oil that has been generated in these big factories is actually poisonous. It is nothing but poison. It is so toxic for your body that it is going to ruin your internal organs completely. So there we are. So we moved from saturated fats, which were supposed to be really good for us, which were cold pressed and you could just press them and the oil comes out and that is the oil you use. We've now eventually after 30 to 40 years have moved to refined oils, vegetable oils, hydrogenated oils like canola oil and grapeseed oil and safflower oil and things like that, which are really bad for you. They are poison for you. So this is where we have come to, and that is probably the reason why we are having so many problems these days, like diabetes, cardiac issues, PCOD, hormonal problems, because we're just not getting the kind of oil that the body needs. It's completely toxic material that we are using to cook our foods. So now the obvious question is what are the good oils and what are the bad oils? Now how do we differentiate between them? So I'll keep it very simple. Because we do a very high heat Indian cooking, so usually the Indian food that is cooked is at a very high temperature. So these refined oils, hydrogenated oils, which are already toxic, actually also are very unstable at a high temperature. So as soon as you start frying something in them or cooking something in them, they become very toxic for your body. So you need to go for oils which are stable at high temperature for Indian cooking, and they are primarily the basic oils that we've been using, which is ghee. The second one is coconut oil, again amazing option. The third one would be butter. The fourth option is olive oil. Olive oil is amazing. That is something that you cannot go wrong with. Mediterranean countries use olive oil all the time. They are cold pressed, they are good for you, they are stable at high temperature, so that is something that you can easily go for. Other one that you can go for is your mustard oil, which is traditionally the oil that we always use to make our vegetables. So mustard oil is also one of the safest oils that you can use. Now what are the bad oils that you have to avoid? You have to avoid the canola oil and the grapeseed oil and the peanut oil. These are very high in omega-6. Now what is omega-6? These are essential fatty acids, omega-3, 6 and 9. These are the 3 basic essential fatty acids that you need for proper functioning of your body. Now the oils that I'm telling you, which are very toxic and they are not good for you, are actually very high in omega-6. So you need a certain ratio between omega-3 and omega-6. So our consumption of omega-3 is like this and consumption of omega-6 is like that. So you want to avoid the consumption of omega-6 as much as possible, and you need to up your essential fatty acid omega-3 as much as possible. So omega-3 along with these 4 oils, 5 oils that I've listed out would be the combination that you would want to use to make sure that you are consuming the right kind of oil for yourself, for your health, for your family, for your children, for your parents. This is what you need to be consuming and nothing else. So the next obvious question that I get from my clients is that I have high cholesterol issues, I have high triglycerides, and you are telling me to eat saturated fats, and I cannot do that because it will increase my cholesterol. But I do explain them, and I will explain this to you as well, that cholesterol issues are not because of the saturated fats that you are having. It's mainly because of refined food, high sugar intake that you are doing in your diet, which is actually causing all the problem for you. And plus the bad oils that you're consuming actually are increasing your triglyceride levels, and also it's increasing your cholesterol levels. Because cholesterol is not bad, a body produces at least 1000 to 2000 mcg, which is like 2 grams of cholesterol every day for you, because it needs for proper functioning. Every single cell in your body is made up of a lipid layer, and that lipid layer is made up of cholesterol. The hormones are made up of cholesterol. So cholesterol is actually really important for you. So if you have high cholesterol issues, then that's probably because of refined food and high sugar content in your diet, and not because of the fats that you're eating. The good fats is actually what you need, because your every single cell has this lipid layer. Now this is the wall through which it communicates with everything else outside, whether it's food, whether it's insulin, whether it's hormones, whether it's the nutrition that it's taking in, the oxygen it's taking in. This is the wall through which it communicates, and this layer is made up of oil, and the oil needs to be of good quality so that the cell is of membrane is of good quality. If the oil is toxic and the oil is actually a vegetable oil, what happens is that this membrane becomes tight, it becomes very rigid, and then it stops communicating with other hormones and nutrients and oxygen and other things. So for this cell wall to be squidgy and soft, you need this layer to be made from saturated fats. The more this layer is made up of saturated fats, the better it's going to be for you, because then the communication and the squidginess of these cells will increase, and they will start reviving. They will not become hard, they'll become soft, and when they become soft, they become supple, and they start communicating properly with other hormones and the outside environment. If you are worried that having fats will increase your cholesterol levels or your triglyceride levels, then don't worry about it. The only thing it will do is make it better for you. The second question that I get asked a lot is that a lot of PCOD clients have a fatty liver issue, and they say, if I've got a liver which is already fat and you're asking me to eat more fat, then I'm going to be in a bigger problem. But here I would like to tell you that the liver becomes fat not because of the good fats that you consume, but because of the refined food, the fructose, the sucrose, the glucose that goes into your body continuously. That is the reason why you have a fatty liver issue. So if you start having good fats in your body, then it in fact will improve your liver health. And eating lots of eggs, lots of poultry, lot of the things which have high choline in them, which is all found in all dairy products, that actually improves your liver health. So it is definitely a big myth that eating a lot of fat will actually worsen your fatty liver issue. It will actually make it better for you. It will reduce the inflammation inside your liver and give it a better recovery. Again, I want to give you one example to explain you why you should not think that having fat will increase your fatty liver problem. There is a delicacy that Westerners eat which is called a fatty liver of a goose. So it's like a delicacy that they prepare, and for that they feed the goose a lot of fructose, a lot of corn which has a lot of fructose in it, actually for the fatty liver to bulge, and so that it becomes a delicacy and they can have it. So if you would think that if fatty liver is caused by fat, then they should be actually feeding the goose a lot of butter, but they don't do that. They actually feed the goose a lot of corn which is full of fructose, which actually explains you that your fatty liver is caused by fructose and a lot of sucrose and a lot of glucose and refined foods and all the junk that we are eating, and not because of the good fats that you will be including in your diet. The next thing I would like to say over here is that yes, you would want to improve the kind of quality of fats that you're having, the kind of oils that you'll be consuming. That will be definitely something that you'll have to do. But along with that, because you have not had a good supply of omega-3 for a very long time, if you've been having this kind of fat, bad quality oil in your diet, then chances are that omega-3 will be very, very low in your body. So it is very important that you up that omega-3 in your body, because that is the main reason why you're having all the PMS symptoms before periods, and the inflammation and the irritation that you have. It's mainly because there is no omega-3 in your body. So if you're a vegetarian, then you can have a lot of flax seeds, which will give you omega-3, or if you're a non-vegetarian, then just increase your fish intake by 2 to 3 portions a week. That will help you to get the omega-3 from the natural sources. But if you feel that you will not be able to do this, then I would say that supplementing would be a good way to just up your levels of omega-3. And you need to check what kind of omega-3 you're buying from the market, because there are lots of different types of omega-3 which is available, and some of them are not good, some of them are good. So how do you know which one is good? So what you need to look for is that when you look at the omega-3 bottle of 1000 mg, that is the dosage that you would need, 1000 mg per day. And you also need to see that there is a EPA and a DHA in a particular ratio. So you need the EPA in the omega-3 and the DHA for proper functioning. And if a bottle does not tell you how much EPA it has and how much DHA it has, then that's not the kind of supplement that you're looking for. You need to check at the back of the bottle that it has EPA and DHA in the ratio of 3:2. And that is the kind of right omega-3 that you would want to take. One capsule a day would for the next 3 months would be good enough. With supplements, I usually say that don't overdose yourself on it and just keep having omega-3 all the time. Take any supplement, whether it's vitamin D, whether it's iron, whether it's omega-3, take it for 3 months and then leave it. Then continue again after 6 to 8 months. So that's how you can then not make it very toxic for yourself. Omega-3, when you are taking, you must also ask a nutritionist or a doctor and show the bottle to them and say, hey, this is what I'm having, is this good enough? So just to confirm. Or you can by all means ask me a question on my YouTube account, and I'll be happy to tell you whether the kind of omega-3 you're taking is good enough or not. All I want to say is don't be fat phobic, don't worry about fat. The fats are really good for you. It's very good for your brain. It's the only fuel that brain understands. 90% of your brain is made up of fat. You need the fats, and you need the good kind of fats for your mood to go up, for you to feel upbeat about life, for the depressive episodes that you might have before periods. You need that omega-3 supply in your body and good fats in your body. So don't worry, it will not go and sit on your body as fat reserves. It is only going to help you lose the weight. So don't worry about it. Change your subconscious. At subconscious level, we've been trained so hard, we're hardwired to say no to fat, no to fat, no to fat. So I just want you to change that and incorporate those fats in your diet. And nowadays, I mean, the modern science is saying fat is the best fuel. You don't need the carbs, you don't need the proteins, you don't need anything else, you just need the fats. I don't believe in that, because I feel that everything should be in moderation, in the right quantity, in the right way. So yes, include the fats, but don't go berserk on it. Maintain that balance between carbs, proteins and fats, and you cannot go wrong with that. So with this, I come to an end of this video. If you have any questions, please by all means put them down on the comment section. I'll be happy to help, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.